Hello everyone, welcome back to Draco's Den, and today I welcome you to Poetry Pastime. Today's our first episode of this segment on the channel, and today I bring a poem that I wrote. This is the first poem I ever wrote, and I believe this was about, I could check the date here, but this was about a year ago. Actually no, I think a little more than a year ago I wrote this. And this, like I said, this was my first one I ever wrote. So this will be, I think, a special way to kick off our first episode of Poetry Pastime. So without further ado, let's begin. The title is The Tree Upon the Hill. There stood a tree on a tall hill, its vibrant leaves and massive tangling branches. When the wind would blow a gentle breeze, the rusted leaves would dance along the wind, trails down to the ground, only to be later heard being crushed under the little feet of playing children, who waited eagerly for Halloween to satisfy their lust for many sugary goodies they anticipated every year. After Halloween came and went, with its many frights and delights, would come winter, thus introducing the tree to freezing ice that would cover the grounds it stood upon. The last of the crusty brown leaves that still clung to the tree would fall harshly towards the ground, just to be swallowed by the white powder that covered the icy cold ground, brought down by the frigid gust of winds, carrying along tiny bits of frost that would nip at the children who would play beneath the tree, only to be later called in by their mothers who offered a piping hot drink of hot cocoa. The tree would later return as spring came around, bringing with it new floral life, creating large patches of vibrant arrays of flowers, and sparkled fresh with the droplets of morning dew. The tree now surrounded by the new, young, fruitful flowers. Again, that poem was written by me, and here I wrote this actually May 31st, 2021. So, like I said, the first poem I ever wrote, and I just want to start by reviewing the poem. This poem I thought of, I'm going to be honest, I was in school and I wasn't paying attention. You should pay attention to school. Don't do what I did. But I discovered the passion for poetry because I was in English class and I I wanted something that would help channel what I was thinking, ideas I had, even if it was like a feeling I get from a season. Now, my favorite holiday personally is Halloween. And Halloween was always my favorite because I like horror and scary things, and just Halloween, I remember as a child, brought many good memories because I remember going out with friends and being able to have that freedom, and it was like the illusion of the night. By illusion, I mean just it was, as a child, it was always special to be out without your parents, and the night, I feel, would bring that atmosphere of mystery and freedom because you're not there with your parents when you reach a certain age. And I remember going, collecting the candy as a kid, and feeling happy because I'm not at school, and just having that nice little treat you carry with you. It's like a little surprise. The candy. It was like a little feeling I remember as a child. And again, like I said, hanging out with friends was always fun, especially bringing everyone together for Halloween. It's a night of mischief, if you will. And it was a special feeling, and with each season we have, usually there's holidays that follow, no matter what religion or whatever you believe or whatever nationality you are. There's always a holiday to be celebrated somewhere for someone. And I feel like that's a really special thing. And I know sometimes holidays can be hard for people to celebrate because sometimes they don't always have a family or anyone they want to celebrate with. And I was thinking about that at the time, where just what the seasons bring and how I just mentioned so many different feelings that people get from each holiday, or each passing time, or they may even get the same feeling. Like I said, if it's a negative one or a positive one, it could be the same idea as spending time with family or friends or even a partner, or even just connecting with yourself, because that is a special feeling too. I feel like we take for granted is to spend time with yourself as well. But the whole idea, like I'm continuing, is this poem, like I said, was my first one, but the tree I remember as a child was this one I always hang under when I was younger. This park I had by my house. It was like a safe spot for me, and I would wish I climb it. And I remember recently when I was older, I did climb it, and I was doing pull-ups on it because I thought that would be fun. It was a nice feeling. It was like free for a moment. I felt like a kid again, where you just stop and don't worry about the world, just hang out in the tree. And it was such a fun, innocent feeling you have as a kid climbing a tree. Something so simple you see every day that you could take for granted. That you pass one every day. You see it every day, like I said, and it just brought this feeling of imagination, curiosity, and adventure. This exploration you do climbing a tree, and when it's hot in summer, you go under the tree and you seek that shade that it brings in the summer. It's such a magical feeling when you really stop and admire nature around you and what it excuse me, what it means to be a child again. And that's why I wrote including the children, because Christmas is always associated with, or winter too, in general, in more broader terms, is always associated with children. I feel just the innocence, the snow and playing in the snow. Like I said, snow covering the ground, everything around you, something you pass in winter every day. It's interesting how something like snow, for example, could be seen in different ways. As a child, it's something fun and it's something good because it stops school from happening. And as an adult, you're going to work and snow is seen as dangerous because it causes ice. Ice skating for children, or even teenagers is fun. It's something you could do with your friends or even a romantic partner. Figure skating, it's an art. So there's ice being used for something positive and artistic and expressive. But, as an adult going to work, you're worried for ice, you're worried for snow because it's dangerous when you're on the road. And then it's seen as something to be worried about, something negative. So it's just really interesting taking a common environmental thing that we deal with on a seasonal basis, and it's just two different outlooks on something, and it ranges differently from each age or age group. And it's just something that I thought of, and it was just something that just crossed my mind while I was sitting there in class, and it was something that would happen so quick to think of. It's just like a feeling. It's just a feeling I get, and that's also what I want to do with these segments is just free talk about how I wrote the poems, what I thought of when writing them, and this one meant a lot to me because one, it's my first one, but it was interesting because I was embarrassed at first to write it. I didn't really know where I was going with it. I just let it flow. Remember, I really spent a good amount of time editing this. I spent like an hour and a half on it, just going back, rearranging things. But it wasn't the best work I've done. I know because I've been writing for a little while now. I do have a lot of poems, and they all range from different things I've written. One I'll read later is Dark Castle, for example. That one was a horror, no, not like scary, scary, but a horror one. Others I wrote a lot for my girlfriend. I love her; she's amazing. Um, Romantic ones for her, or just about her, or things I feel from my perspective, or just things I've written in general that from like a third person perspective or a perspective different character. And I say character loosely because I didn't give them a name, just a person. So I try to write it from like um I don't know if anyone's ever seen, probably I think Eden's Garden. It's a good anime movie. If that's correct name, it's really good. But like a perspective like that, seeing a character on a show walk on a pavement, for example, and as the viewer having that perspective of a third person, seeing them walk along the pavement, living their life. But in real life, we could do the same thing, but you don't know what the person's thinking inside their head. you do is if you were watching TV or a program in general, even on YouTube. See, like if you saw me in public, you don't know my thoughts. But see on here, me giving you my thoughts, you know what I'm saying and thinking. You know how I express myself given the subject. And that's what I want this to be about. Just a little special thing, that environment where people could feel free to share writing and just discuss deeper ideas. And I feel like this is a good little kickoff. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, what you'd like to see more of, and there will be other videos coming along today and this week. And a little kickoff for the holidays, so I will be sharing holiday related content as well for poetry. And do expect a manga review coming up very soon. I'm not sure which one yet. I believe Berserk I'm going to do. I'm going to start that. And yeah, so I just want to say thank you. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you like. Subscribe, hit that like button, and put on notifications. What everyone says, so don't forget. Again, this has been Jay Godsen. You have viewed Poetry Pastime. Thank you for joining me, and have a good night.